work as a transporter in a hospital. About 2 years ago, we moved from the old city hospital into a new state-of-the-art facility. The old hospital was built in the 1930s and was showing its age at night and was just plain creepy. Each floor had an east and west wing. The east wing of the 4th floor was the first wing to be shut down, about 2 weeks before the move. One night, at around 9:30, I'm up on the floor to get a patient from the west wing. I see a small group of nurses and aides who all used to work on the now closed east wing. They looked visibly shaken. I walked over to see if everything was okay. They told me that they had just decided to walk through their old wing for nostalgia's sake. When they were over there, the phone at the nurse's station started ringing. The computers and phones had not yet been moved. Not sure what to do, one of the nurses reached over the counter and answered the phone. The nurse told me there was a woman's voice on the other end, and that she sounded confused. This is the conversation as best as I can remember. "This is Bonnie, how can I help you?" asked the nurse.
Hello? Who is this?
"This is Bonnie. I'm a nurse. Is there anything I can help you with?"
Where am I?
"This is Northwestern Memorial. Are you a patient here?"
Oh, okay.
And the line went dead. That's when the nurse finally looked at the screen on the phone to see where the call was coming from. The phone gave the room number directly next to the nurse's station. The rooms by this point had all been cleared out, and the phones were removed. They could see directly into the room and see that nobody was in there. That's when they bolted towards the west wing, where I was getting off the elevator. I definitely avoided that wing for the rest of my time there. My friend used to work as a night custodian for an elementary school, in which the building itself was rather old. I believe it was built in the 1940s. He was the third shift guy, so he took over from the second shift guy at around 9 p.m. He was basically there to mop the floors and make sure no one broke in. If he got all his stuff done, he was pretty much free to do whatever he wanted. Often, after he finished doing his work, he'd go hang out in an office because there was a small TV to watch. He said things started off innocently enough. Lights turning on in classrooms where he knew they'd been off previously. Cabinets and doors opening and closing on their own. He didn't pay much attention to it at first. He was sort of on the fence as to where he believed in paranormal activity. So he just shrugged it off as coincidences. At first, he would go around and check the noises out. Sometimes he'd creep around and try to catch someone in the act, in case there was a way in that he didn't know about. After a month or so, he gave up looking and just learned to ignore it. He'd ask his boss about it, but just get blown off. Over the coming months, things progressively got worse. Doors no longer closed on their own, they slammed shut. He heard noises like children playing, sometimes screaming. He'd find trash cans turned upside down. He'd have things thrown at him, but he would clearly be alone, with nowhere for someone to hide. He'd contemplated quitting. He was making good money for being nearly fresh out of high school, and he needed the money for his family, so he stuck with it. He'd come in, rush through his duties for the night as quickly as he could, and then go sit in the office where he'd turn the TV to where he could sit facing the door. And that's where he'd sit until the morning crew came in around 6 a.m. He didn't want to admit that he was completely scared of being in that school by himself at night, so he just toughed it out and made a lot of excuses to try to explain what was going on. The last straw for him was the night he was sitting in the office watching TV and felt someone grab the chair from behind and flip him over backwards. There was clearly no one in the room, and no way for anyone to get into the room without him seeing him. He picked up the office phone and called his boss at home in the middle of the night, said he quit, and that he'd come back in the morning to turn in his keys. He was definitely a believer in the paranormal after that experience. He said that it wasn't until years later that he found out from someone who'd done research on the school itself, before it was torn down, that there used to be a pool inside the school. A number of kids had drowned in that over the early years of the school, until the administration decided to finally expand the building. They filled in the pool with concrete and expanded over the top of it. I used to work at a 24-hour Subway. One day I was doing the dishes and my coworker was cleaning the toaster oven and bread oven. Out of nowhere, around 3:30 a.m., I heard our door chime go off. Out of habit, I say, "Welcome to Subway." As I turn the corner, nobody there. Coworker's gone. I thought, okay, maybe he hopped the counter and went for a cigarette outside, as he did do that from time to time. Heading back to the sink to finish the dishes, I hear the door chime again. Nobody. Check the bathrooms. Nobody. What the hell? I ignore the dishes and stand at the front counter, eyeing the doors. A couple of minutes later, my coworker comes through the back door where we get our deliveries.
Where'd you go?
I asked him, turning towards the back door area.
Take the trash out.
He replies. Door chime. He does the same thing as me. Welcome to Subway. Turn the corner to see nobody there, but this time the door was wide open. Our doors are weighted to where they'll close on their own if you let them go. Door stayed open for a couple of minutes as we stared. Then suddenly, slammed. It wasn't a windy night, and our doors wouldn't even stay open like that on the windiest of days. No idea what caused this, or why it happened on that particular night. But after I got a different job, I was told it never happened again. Told my boss about the incident, and we all looked at the cameras. Nobody could explain it. I used to intern at a recording studio in New York City years ago, where it was technically open 24/7, meaning there was always someone there whether clients were in or not. Anyways, it was on an upper floor of a building, and due to the amount of expensive equipment inside, you could not access that floor by elevator without someone letting you up. The button for the floor was locked out, so you couldn't press it from inside the elevator. There was a camera at the front entrance downstairs, another at the elevator entrance, and one inside the elevator, all of which could be viewed from the front desk of the studio. So when people arrived, you would buzz them in, wait until you saw them enter the elevator, and then you would have to push the button for the studio floor to bring the elevator up. Well, one of these nights, I was working with the overnight shift. It was just me and another dude doing some routine cleaning and maintenance. Suddenly, we hear the elevator start running at probably 3:30 in the morning. The whole building is an office space, so really there is no one in the building past 5 or 6 p.m. besides us. So we thought it was a bit strange. The other guy looks at the cameras and there's nothing on there. No one in the elevator either. So although it's weird, we just figured someone must still be in the building and called it from a different floor. It made sense until all of a sudden we see it stop at our floor and we hear the door ding. We're both in the lobby about 15 feet away from the elevator. We give each other the most confused stare ever. I can't explain how much I didn't want those doors to open. We stare like a deer in headlights, completely motionless at the doors as they open. Nobody is in there. Nobody pushed the button. Nothing. We both keep staring, completely still and silent. And it becomes really, really creepy as time goes on and the doors don't shut. As if something is standing in the doorway, blocking the sensor. The doors usually close after 5 seconds or so, but we stared at it for a good 20 to 30 seconds before they actually closed. Then the elevator returned back to the lobby. We stared at each other for a bit longer before simultaneously looking at one another again saying, "What the hell, dude?" The next day we asked a couple of the other guys about it. One of the guys said the same thing happened to him in the middle of the night, when he was all by himself. He said he almost shit himself out of fear. Maybe there's a logical explanation for it, like an elevator malfunction, but it was really freaky since the place was generally creepy itself at night. I'm in law enforcement. My partner and I got sent out for a call for an alarm activation. No big deal. But this is not one of our usual alarms. It's a new one we've never been to before. It takes us a little longer than normal to find the house because it's way back off the road with no lights on. We finally find the place, and it's super creepy. Spider webs and spiders everywhere. Nothing outside the house like a trash can or knickknacks. We split up per the usual to check the outside for open doors or windows. I go one way and he goes the other. The house is 2 stories, and I get this sort of garage looking thing, along with a lock shop of some sort on the first floor. Nothing weird is seen or heard. My partner is still making his way around to me from where we started. I find the stairs to the 2nd floor and head up. I wind up on a giant covered porch attached to the house, and it's huge. Literally the size of the garage below, with about 4 sets of wicker outdoor furniture. I'm looking around, but I don't see anything super weird. My partner finally gets to me upstairs, and we talk about the weird layout for a minute or two. During this time, I feel slightly unsettled, but I'm unsure why. I start looking a little closer through the sliding glass doors at the front of the house. My partner tells me everything is locked up from his side, and there are even vines growing over some of the windows and doors. I start noticing little things in the living room. The carpet looks like it's from 1962. No TV, no electronics in general, very 60s layout. I thought all of that was super weird, but I've definitely seen weirder on this job. I then asked dispatch as to what alarm activation was. I get told it was the attic exit. Super weird and very specific, but alright. We start looking around the best we can and inside the living room. No attic. Then it occurs to me, what if it's outside on this giant covered porch? I look up, and sure enough, directly above me is an attic. I can even see the alarm sensor boxes on it. I look at my partner and tell him I'm not going up. He suggests we rock, paper, scissors for it. I'm an idiot and agree. I lose. So I'm going up in the attic. At this point, we've made jokes about how weird all of this is. I'm slightly unsettled, but haven't said anything. I've literally never seen an attic outside that has alarms. Also, who leaves their house looking like the 60s? I reluctantly pull my weapon out and start climbing the ladder. I stick my head up just far enough to see. There are no people and not a lot of stuff up there, and it smells really weird. It smells like old people that have been living up there for about 20 years, like dead old people. Not an actual dead body, thankfully, but like the smell of old people who have died up there. I quickly come back down with nothing but the weird smell to report. I shrug it off as we go to leave. My partner pulls up next to me, jokingly saying, "We're looking at this all the wrong way. We weren't looking for someone getting into the attic. We should have been looking for someone getting out." We both laugh it off as a weird call and drive off. As we drive back to our hiding spot a mile or so away, me in front of him in separate cars, I see what looks like a person standing in the roadway out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a female wearing dark clothing, holding a light-colored bag, though I only saw the person for a split second. I'm not 100% sure of what I saw, so I wait and see if my partner says anything about it. A few seconds after I pass whatever I saw, my partner calls out over the radio that he and I are getting out with the person in the roadway at given intersection. I turn around with him. This all happens within probably 20 seconds. We turn around and can't find that person. They have completely vanished. We described the person to each other and both definitely saw it, and saw the same thing. No idea where this person went. It was less than a half a mile away from that creepy house. So we're pretty sure that we're both haunted now, thanks to work. We've had one or more instances of weird, unexplained happenings at work itself, and we attribute it to our ghost. So that's the story of how I became haunted and ran into a ghost that I accidentally released. Hey everyone, thanks for listening if you stuck around to this point. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell to be notified of future episodes whenever they come out. You can stalk me on Twitter, you can stalk me on Facebook, you can also stalk me on Instagram. If you have a true scary story of your own, feel free to send it to my email or post it to my subreddit. All these links are below. What's going on, everybody? Sorry, this is coming out way later than I thought it was going to. Actually took it in a different direction than I thought I was going to initially. Sunday night, I started getting those like body chills. Whenever I was woke up in the middle of the night, I was getting like hot and then going back and forth between hot and cold. And I knew something was fucky. And then woke up the next morning and felt like I got hit by a fucking train. And for the last couple of days, that's been my reality, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. I'm pretty sure it was COVID. But I feel a hell of a lot better when I woke up this morning today. So I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna get this episode done, and here we go. Hopefully it's not as long as I wanted it to be. It's not on the topic that I wanted it to be, but here it is. Hopefully you guys like it. Let me know. I'm gonna start working on the next one because I got a couple of days off of work now because of testing positive for COVID, whatever. So I'm gonna work on another one and hopefully have that out in the next couple of days to make up for going like 9 or 10 days without uploading. So hopefully you guys are doing good, and let me know what you think. I love y'all. Cheers.